why Russia's failures in Ukraine could be a win for North Korea. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin. So South Korea CNN, Russia's failures on the battlefield in Ukraine could turn into a win for North Korea. That's the view of analysts who say a possible meeting between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin could lead to Pyongyang getting its hands on the sort of weapons to decades worth of United Nations sanctions have barred it from accessing. On Monday, the U.S. National Security Council claimed the arms negotiations between Russia and North Korea were actively advancing after Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu visited Pyongyang in July in an attempt to convince it to sell artillery ammunition to Moscow. The U.S. also believed that there could be a Putin-Kim meeting in the near future should it materialize. Such a meeting would come after more than a year and half of the war in Ukraine have left the Russian military battered, depleted, and in need of supplies. It would also come after 17 years of UN sanctions aimed at hampering North Korea's ability to build a fully functioning nuclear weapons and ballistic missile force. This meeting is very significant development if it goes forward, said Louis Eric Easley, professor of international studies at Ewha Women University in Seoul. Russia has the military technology that Kim wants for its illegal satellite launch and nuclear weapons delivery program. Despite the UN sanctions, Kim has been developing its ballistic missile program at a breakneck pace for the past 2 years. In that period, he has tested dozens of missiles, including intercontinental ballistic ones called ICBMs that in theory could deliver a nuclear warhead over the US mainland. But doubts remain over the extent of the country's capabilities. American analysts and experts from other countries still debate the nuclear payload that North Korea's ICBM could carry, and it is still unclear whether the ICBMs have the capability to survive re-entry, said a June 2022 report from the Council on Foreign Relations. Were Kim to get his hands on technology from Russia, were the leader in nuclear missile forces for decades. It would be a great boost for his programs and a great concern for leaders in the West, analysts said. Du Jin-ho, a research fellow at the Korean Institute for Defense Analysis, said Russia could provide various things on North Korea's wish list: re-entry technology, improved launch capabilities for submarine launch ballistic missiles, satellite reconnaissance capabilities, and even help with the launch satellite. North Korea has attempted 2 satellite launches this year, both ended in failure. Any Pyongyang-Moscow deal could possibly include commodities that Russia has an abundance, but North Korea lacks due to long years of sanctions, said Carl Schuster, a former director of operations at the U.S. Pacific Command's Joint Intelligence Center. Any North Korea needs cash, it needs food, it needs energy, Schuster said. Writing this week in the conversation, Daniel Salisbury, visiting research fellow at King's College London, said that if Russia began buying North Korean arms, thereby floating UN sanctions, Moscow itself helped pass. Other countries that had once imported military hardware from Pyongyang, like Iran, might follow suit. Russia's purchase will undermine the North Korea sanctions regime and help to generate revenue for the Kim regime. It could also spur a broader renaissance for North Korea's arms export enterprise, Police wrote, or the France. Any pact, any way the Moscow would help Kim in another way, said just a former U.S. Navy captain. This alliance makes him to look less isolated, provides a psychological boost for him and his inner circle, just said of the North Korean leader. Though military cooperation between Moscow and Pyongyang has the history going back to Stalin's support of Kim's grandfather at the start of the Korean War in 1950, it has waned in more recent years, especially when Russia, with the veto power in the UN Security Council, purported in the implementation of sanctions on the North Korea. Still, that long history means that there are many similarities in their weapons stocks that could be useful to Russia. North Korea makes good what I call the heavy industrial weapons. Schuster said each artillery and ammunition is very good. It's very similar to Russian designs. Du agrees, saying North Korea's 52 millimeter artillery ammunition and 152 millimeter multiple rocket launcher ammunition could be used on Russian weapons immediately. But North Korean ammo would not be a game changer for Russia, said Giuseppe Dempsey, research associate for defense and military analysis at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. These arms could help replenish depleted stocks and prolong the conflict, but are not going to change this direction. Each direction, he said. Others questioned how quickly any North Korean ammo could get into the hands of the Russian troops on the front lines in Ukraine. Shipment from North Korea to Russian fighting forces would need to cross the Trans-Siberian Railway, more than 5,700 miles from Vladivostok in the east to Moscow in the west. Much of the equipment on the rail line is from the late Corridor era and seriously stressed, said Trent Telenko, a former quality control auditor for the U.S. Defense Contract Management Agency who has studied Russian logistics. Overstressing Cold War era transportation is a seriously stupid idea on a lot of levels, and that is exactly what the Russians are doing, Telenko said.